It's Marvel, baby. Capcom drops a bomb on the Nintendo Direct. Bison is coming this week, and we have some community members to highlight this week. Welcome to Double Tap. This is a podcast dedicated to everything and anything in the fighting game community. I'm, of course, your host, Crash, and with me, I also have my assist to carry on through this episode. We've got the one that's actually keeping the show together, 99% of the time. We got Jot in the building.
What's going on? You hurt Static's feelings.
His feelings were hurt before. They're about to get worse. Cause I'm like, and you know him, you love him, and you heard him get flamed on TNS just recently. We got Static G.
Hi, I'm just Captain Commando assist.
Oh yeah, sorry, bro. You're just in for the DP into the meter burn. That's what you're used for, unfortunately. It's all good. It's all good though. It's still part of the crew. Still part of the crew. Remember that.
Thanks. Jaws definitely Sentinel.
Yeah, he's definitely Sentinel. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the returning listeners to the show. And for those that are new and have found the show and checked us out, we appreciate you guys hitting play. Let's jump right into it, guys. We have a big week. We've had a big week of announcements, and we're just starting it off with, let's go with the biggest one, man. The one that's gotten a lot of people hyped, the one that's put the timelines on blast and have had the DAP that has been heard around the world. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is coming back. I'm so stoked. Okay, and some other games, but Marvel 2 is like a big part of it, right?
Yeah, where do we start? Because the Nintendo Direct really came out of nowhere. I was just driving, and then I was like, I don't want to look at my phone. And then I got to my brother's house, and I'm like, I looked at my phone, and everybody's telling me, and I'm like,
nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming. In a world, right? Ready? About to do like my trailer voice.
However,
in a world.
However, I wasn't surprised. Is that weird?
No, you know what? Look, this is why it gets me, right? In a world of Street Fighter 6, MK1, Tekken 8, GranBlue, Strive still doing its thing. The biggest title that hit us right now, that gotten everyone in the community just up in arms for. Well, Marvel.
I mean, because we got the cab. I just recently got a cab. I don't suck that much TNS, okay? I'm good at something like my job, okay? So anyway, what I'm saying is we got the cab, and the cab had all of the games on here. I mean, if you're watching live, you can scroll through them all here. Not live, but you know what I mean. But they're all on here. So we thought that was maybe the last, hurrah. So to me, this coming out, I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? That makes sense. Somebody's paying attention. And then, but for me, I think the biggest surprise for me, not just that the game will have this and netcode and all that, because we've seen all those other Capcom collections actually getting some shine. It's the training mode stuff, because the training mode has already been so bare bones to me that now it's showing with the hitboxes, which I've never seen.
We'll get into that. We'll get into the features. We'll get into the features.
I'm diving.
I know you want to
already,
exactly.
Okay?
Everybody's in it. Everybody's in it. So, the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, that's what it's actually officially called, Arcade Classics, is the product that got announced that is coming with 6, basically the Versus series, literally the lineage of the Versus series, starting with Children of the Atom, the X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, MvC 1, and of course MvC 2. There is a bonus game with the Punisher. For those that don't know, the Punisher is actually the first game that Marvel actually worked with Capcom on, or Capcom worked with Marvel on and actually licensed. So that's why it's like, it is literally the start of that relationship, business-wise, was started with that game. So it's kind of like an homage to what allowed conversations to eventually grow into what we know today with like even Marvel 3 and Infinite and such, right?
Okay, did not know that.
Yes, I knew that before, and it's really cool. On their website, they actually posted that. They were like, it's the historic first game. I was like, nice, good call out. Show some love. Frank Castle doesn't get enough love, because it was a really dope beat 'em up to boot, by the way. So, yeah, so it's a big deal. So Marvel, like, all the Versus games are all awesome, but Marvel 2 in particular is getting up in arms because it's had quite a bit of a history when it comes to availability and things with like digital purchases, and like, in the gaming space of like what happens if it goes down, because it's, just to put it in a little perspective here, right? The game came out in the 2000s, right? Literally 2000 was the arcade release. We had ports for Dreamcast, Xbox, and PlayStation 2, which I still have a physical copy of PlayStation 2 somewhere in my storage. I'm very stoked about that. Then it had, we didn't see a digital release for this game until 2009. PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. If you remember, it gave us the 4:3 and 16:9 aspect ratio, and it did that weird shit where the 16:9 actually literally got cut off. Like the characters didn't render past that because the game just didn't allow it to.
Weird HD renders, yeah.
Yeah. So, and hey, yeah, it has some graphical leaps to it. So the big deal with the game is what ended up getting it delisted actually eventually from those digital stores. So like if you purchased it, if you didn't have it already downloaded it in your Xbox or your PlayStation at the time, you just straight up lost it. That's just due in part because Capcom's like licensing arrangement with Marvel like just expired. Like, and that's one of the big things why the Marvel series is so crazy to get an installment, because of the Marvel side. Like especially early 2000s, Marvel licensing was all over. And we're talking not just like in general like series, we're talking about even characters, right? Were spread and put between so many different hands because Marvel was at that time. I know nowadays we see like, yo, Marvel is a juggernaut now owned by Disney and such, but before even they got, you know, grabbed by Disney, they were like, yo, this is an insane company. It was not the same deal in the early 2000s, not even close, right? That's why like Fox owns Spider-Man and shit, right? They sold off licensing and stuff, or Sony, excuse me, Sony, sorry. And Fox had mutants, right? They had the mutant or the X-Men and stuff, right? It was a big like kind of hoopla to get like what is essentially was at the time the biggest fighting game roster with all these different characters from Marvel, but like licensed out into a game. So it was like, it's a very special game. So with that, it came, like I said, with those licensing issues. And even though it had like those licensing issues, it still persevered, right? You had through the dark ages, and even nowadays, up to this point, we've had what, Fightcade, right, being the big component there. Like, so Fightcade being the emulated version, or not the emulated version, but it's like, you know, the community supported version of the game, right? You can get the ROM, you can boot it up, you can play online with people right now, right? Lobbies are open for, especially for older games that didn't have that capability, right? It wasn't even a thing back then, but you still wanted to play the proper arcade port or whatever. And then from there, we've gotten like, you know, the closest thing since then is literally what's next to static, the Arcade 1-Up cab, which came out in 2022. Like that's been historically now the latest way of getting it. You had two options. Now it's like you either get this Arcade 1-Up cab, which does have online capabilities as well, yes, right? It runs an arcade port. And then you have Fightcade. But then if you think about it, I'm like, bro, both of those are not really, they're not really convenient, like for the average consumer, for like a very beloved franchise. I don't want to bring it back down the steps, and I don't want to bring it back up the steps now. Exactly. And you know, sometimes people just don't want to head over or don't have the, however much, I don't know, do they go for like $600 or something like that? Right. I think online. I don't have room to share with anyone. This is quite small. Yeah. So the options of getting the game are really just not convenient to your standard consumer. It's just straight up not. And like if you could still say like, oh, about Fightcade, I'm like, yo, you still need to source the ROM, learn Fightcade, get the connections, and you know, it's like configuration. You know, already 2 steps in, and people are like, nope, don't. You know, the average consumer is gonna be like, no, if it's not something I can just install, hit play, go, not dealing with it. Right. So the game's had like, you know, kind of its up and downs when it comes to just being, you know, in front of people or being availability, right? So that's why this is a big deal. So it coming out on the Switch, on the PlayStation, and on Steam. Yeah. I believe the physical version is just the PlayStation, or I think the Switch as well. I have to double check. I can't remember if the Switch is also physical. I know the PlayStation is. It is PS4, by the way. So I'm guessing that means they can just go straight to 5 as well, right? Yeah, it'd be a pretty big missed opportunity if they did not allow you to play this on the latest console. I don't know. I don't know if otherwise, like what Capcom would be smoking to let go of that one. But
they've made worse decisions.
They have made worse they have made worse decisions. You are right, but I feel like they've hopefully learned. Hopefully they've learned. Here's my take on it. I'm excited. Yes, and I said it earlier. You know, Marvel 2 on an updated system, it's great. Like it didn't really click to me, and I'm like, man, on an updated system, that's great. It's awesome. And then Xbox, haha. So then my other thing was, but I feel like I was a bit disappointed with the collection series. Now, Street Fighter collection series from, you know, Street Fighter 2, 1, the 30th anniversary Alpha, version and stuff. Yeah, those were pretty good. Was that 35th anniversary, I think? 30 and 35th. Yeah, I remember the 30th. They were pretty cool. They were, you know, they were awesome. They were good homages. Like,
I could take that to like my church and have like older people, I mean, like play it and like have like the old arcade again. You know what I mean?
Like, see
like
the hands of God, son.
Yeah, but like they were like, oh, can you make like a makeshift arcade? I'm like, sure, I'll bring you 2 arcade sticks, attach it to a TV, have a good old time, pick the game you want to play, and then so stuff like that. But then like that will work for maybe a casual setting. Now this is an online setting. This has that. I feel like it's gonna have just I hope that the community doesn't really like bash it in terms of like it doesn't have all of what I need, or it doesn't have all of it's not true to the old thing. Like
we're gonna talk about those features. I think I'm on the opposite camp on that.
I'm not saying I know I'm just gonna go to arcade or to like online and just play however, I can't tell some of the differences, but like I just hope that it's not as disappointing as maybe like the Darkstalkers one.
Yeah, so the Darkstalkers, when you're talking about, is the previous fighting collection they had, right? Where they had 3 versions of Darkstalkers. They had that Super Turbo and a couple other versions.
Now it's not necessarily disappointing, but like there's so many quality of life things that they can change. So I hope that they fix that in this.
I think there are. I think especially the new features are, I think, were lessons learned from that original collection, which also makes sense because like they went with, don't get me wrong, they still went with staples, right? Street Fighter 2, they went to Darkstalkers, but they didn't go with Marvel, right? Nothing really stopped them from doing this before. I don't want to say it's not a bigger lift. I mean, you are just taking arcade ports, ROMs and such, and you're adding stuff to it. They could have done it, but maybe they were like, hey, let's test the waters with this, and then whatever we find lessons learned, let's apply it to like a banger one, which would be the Versus series, right? It makes sense. It makes sense. Right. But yeah, so like statics, the reaction, my timeline has been filled with nothing but artwork and mad love from every corner of the community. The game is a staple. Obviously, we've gotten it's Mahvel, baby, Mango Sentinel and stuff, which also is making people realize some shit like that, maybe some history that they don't realize. Things like the Mango Sentinel color is like, that's a mod. That's not an official color in Marvel 2. It's not an official color, because back in the day, it was not an official color. It's not an official color. That is a mod. Because back in the day on the Dreamcast, they used to inject mods, colors, and music packs into those versions, and that's what eventually now became normal colors nowadays because of the impact it's had on the culture of it, right? Which is fucking
it's in Marvel 3.
Full circle. It's exactly, that's what I'm saying. In Marvel 3, that was an homage to that infamous video of Yipes, doing his liners and stuff like that, right? That put him on the map, right? Besides being a great player, but that's what put his things on the map. That was the map. It's funny to see just some people are like, oh shit, this is not a color. It's like, no, it's not. Like there's some deep cuts in here. But the community reaction has been amazing. The artwork, which I don't even know. I'm like, chances are I wanna say maybe the artwork is probably gonna be our thumbnail. I don't know. I would say it's frame 1, but me and Jack can discuss about that afterwards. Where you're about to get like dapped up, right, and stuff. Like it's amazing. I love it. It's been such a callback because Marvel has a special place to a lot of people. Whether it's 3, but 2, like for some reason just has had all these controversies. Only kind of felt like emboldened, like the love for it than anything else, because it's almost like it's the one game like you can't have, but it has such history, and it's still like very unmatched in terms of the style and all, like especially for those days. So safe to say it's been a win. It's been a win across everyone in the fighting game scene for that, in the community. And can't wait to get our hands on it. But we're going to talk about the features about it, because there is some new stuff, right? It's not just gonna be a port, because anybody can do that. No, Capcom decided to give us a little bit of extra, and we're gonna get into those features after this short break. So we got some more Marvel to talk about, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back. We just finished talking about some Marvel, and guess what? We're gonna talk about more Marvel. Yes, my favorite. So we're talking features, man. So with the MvC fighting collection, that's gonna be like really hard to say a bunch of times during the show. They're coming out with not just just a port of it. They are coming out with some additional quality of life and some pretty awesome features. So if you guys check out the official site, you actually get to see a quick little rundown on things. First of all, online play, duh, needs to have it, but online play with, say it with me folks, rollback. That's the dub. Even the initial 2009 release didn't have rollback, right? We're in the rollback era. The matches were okay. I remember playing it, but they were not really the greatest. So this is going to give us some true rollback netcode. It's going to be awesome. Much needed. Like if you're going to do it, you have to have that now. We've got casual matches, ranked matches, and then custom matches so you can actually spectate. So now, hey, look at that. Tournaments ran, right? Now we're going to be able to just run. You're going to see more broadcasts for MvC2 like online. There's definitely gonna be some growth there, which is gonna be awesome. They actually do highlight also things like the Punisher is getting online co-op and spectating, so sweet. Beat 'em up. Why the hell not? Yeah, speedruns. Yeah, absolutely. All that is gonna be good. Then we've got high score challenge as well. So I think that's actually just for the Punisher right now. Yeah, looks like that's just specific for the Punisher. One thing to note though, which only thing so far is like the kind of like thorn in this is, from what I understand, there's no crossplay,
right? Which
is understandable. We've had talks, or we've heard kind of statements from developers, like the development of like crossplay between platforms is, some will say it's complicated. Some Japanese developers will say it's complicated. Others say it's like it's not as complicated, but there is still a resource to implement, right? So like, you know, right now as of this moment, it's not supported. Not even for the Punisher either, not even like the beat 'em up. So you can't like play your cousin that has it on the Switch while you're on Steam, which sucks. But it is what it is. It's not perfect, but hey, I'll take 85%. Training mode, static. This was what you were already just ready to jump into. The training mode, man. Holy hell. This is like modern training mode we're talking about here. Outside of like getting a frame counter in the bottom, like Street Fighter 6. This, I think, has a lot of the needs to really crack Marvel 2 open in the modern era. We already knew stuff was kind of busted, but now like it being actively, you know, supported in game like this is amazing. So hitboxes, hurtboxes, you guys can see how busted things like Magneto's, you know, crouching light is, which is like what is it, like the one framer. Only other button in the game I think that matches it's like Mega Man standing punch. It's like one frame. Yeah, so it trades with it on startup. Little tidbit for all you new guys out there, if you didn't know that. Now I just helped you.
If you're even more new, if you change your character on the way into the match and you hold the button, it will come out on its first frame. So
yes,
there's that.
Yep. But we get dummy behavior. We get training options. You know, like I said, hitboxes, the data, the frame rate, network delay as well. So it's just this wasn't even like, these were not even close to options back in the day. So to see that actually implemented on the game, super stoked. And then some additional quality of life features. So we've got your standard like display filters, like you get your scan lines on, right? It is an OG game. Some of these sprites won't look as good, right? Kind of like HD'd up and kind of rezzed up. They'll look better. Some of the crusty stuff looks better on the crusty equipment for good reason, guys. There is a reason for that. Pause and on-pause on single player content that you play, kind of like, you know, if you're in arcade and stuff, right? Like you don't pause at an arcade, so I guess they added that here. You got challenges as well, but another big thing though is the beginners kind of feature they decided to implement in. So they added difficulty settings to be available, which is cool. So you can adjust that on single player. I think traditionally that was something you could adjust on the arcade version, but you know, having it available for your standard player, casual player, to enjoy their experience, also a plus. One button specials though.
Interesting.
One button specials.
Also not in ranked. Maybe at your local tournaments though.
Yeah, not in ranked. So we're talking like kind of like the modern, you know, modern versus classic scheme here. But one button specials that, from looking at the screenshots and stuff, like you can actually, because this is a 4-button game, right? Like there's actually 4 buttons in terms of normals, and then your 2 other buttons are your assists. So I think you can actually just set up like 1 button per literal button that you have of the 4. But yeah, it's not allowed on ranked because I think it'll make some things very, very busted, clearly. But I'm wondering what else, like, are you gonna be able to do the 1 button, like dash macros and such, right? Like that some players were infamous for in the Marvel 2 like competitive scene, like Fnatic and such, right? Yes, exactly.
With the PlayStation controller R3 button. Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that.
He was using DualShock to macro his dash or on one of the buttons, but he was using the DualShock on the Dreamcast.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
he
like
was macroing
and this
his
is
dash
way back when
for Magneto. Yeah. Yes, this was. I think the last time it was brought up was probably Seasons Beatings Redemption, and that's that. I've looked up the restaurant. It's apartments now. So
no longer there. Got a way back machine that to see anything. Which fun fact though, like this Marvel 2 actually went down from a 6-button configuration to a 4-button.
Yes,
to make it easier for people. So people that complain about modern games today are just trying to make things easy. Son, this is one of the most beloved fucking games in the history of fighting games, and they were already thinking about making it easier for people to jump in. That's why there's no medium punch or medium kick in this game. There it is. It's just light and heavy.
Inside other buttons.
It's inside other
some buttons, and even some other buttons are still hidden if you push down forward or something like. It's not that they didn't think about it, but it's there. And also maybe they wanted to use those assists as the shoulder buttons as well.
Yeah, it was mostly because of the Dreamcast controller, actually. They said it was difficult to actually use the Dreamcast controller with a 6-button configuration. That's why it's the 4, and then you got the 2 triggers, right, to make it work. This is a deep cut, but there is an awesome interview from like literally the 2000s with the game director Tatsuya Nakai and the producer Yoshihiro Sudo on Shumpilations. I'm probably gonna end up tweeting this out because this is a really awesome video, because you would think if it wasn't Marvel 2, some of the takes here were very, very much still aligned with how some of the developers are thinking about, trying to modernize things, or how they've developed certain things to make it easier for the masses. It's a really dope video, or really a dope interview. Like I said, we're gonna tweet that out for sure for you guys to check that out. But yeah, so those are the new features that got added on. On top of the gallery and sound. Gotta have it,
of course.
Like Bengus fucking artwork and such. Like it's just iconic, and the music. If they don't allow you to play the music at will, it would be such a loss. Like I would buy this game if I couldn't get the songs anywhere else. I would buy this game just so I could jukebox this shit.
Yeah, no, I used to go to the lab when this was at the lab. I used to play X-Men versus Street Fighter and just turn up the volume on certain character stages, just for background music. That was that guy.
Yeah, it's the shit. It was the shit.
Oh, but, and also they took away the flicker that you can even see here. Some of the flickering during supers, that's optional. You can turn on and off.
Yeah.
I think visual qualities of life.
Is it a visual quality of life, or is it just to like prevent like epilepsy from happening? I would think that's
I don't know if it's taken out of Marvel 2. But I know there were some of the games that they were explaining that they took it out of. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. So I appreciate that.
Oh, and unlockable characters. Some unlockable characters like Cyber Akuma in Marvel Super versus Street Fighter. He's unlocked. Let's see, I think it was that one. But apparently you weren't able to unlock him before in certain games or at all.
Or player 1, player 2 version was not allowed. Unfortunately, there is the only original character outside of Ruby Heart, of Sansan, and what is it, Amigos, right? I keep forgetting.
What about them?
Yeah, Amigos.
Yeah.
They were the only other original character was that one Japanese comedian that was like a secret character in like the Japanese version. He's not in. He's not in it. Like, unfortunately, I thought they were gonna give us like a true full international with like everything in it, but I hear it's due to copyright issues because of like the naming and the likeness and all wasn't a look.
Now I wonder if the secret characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 are even showing up, like Red Venom.
Oh yeah, like Red Venom or Orange Venom and Gold
Carnage,
War Machine and stuff.
So Carnage was one of them, and Red Venom, but, War Machine or Iron Man, whatever it was. Even
Golden War Machine.
Was the Captain America other guy, or even
US
Shadow
Soldier?
Lady? Yeah.
Shadow Lady. I think they are. Actually, I don't know.
Because they're not in the character select screen. Apparently, changes from original doesn't show anything. All right, that's just something I'd like to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to get as much content. If they're gonna put this out, they might as well just put it out with all the goodies. Like I don't see any reason why not to do that. But yeah, so with those features and all, it kind of like just brings the question though. So we get it. We get this. We don't have a date yet. There is no date. It's just saying, hey, 2024. This is happening. Bet this is gonna be an insane year for versus fighters, or tag fighters, because yeah, this coming out. On top of that though, it's like, okay, Switch, PlayStation, Steam, like gets me wondering like why no Xbox? Like it's so interesting to see that it just did not, like if you want to get it to the masses. I mean, Switch makes no sense. Portable Marvel 2, hell yeah, sign me up. Like I'm for it. PlayStation, sure. And then PC, awesome. Can put it anywhere, put it on your Steam Deck. Rock that out, no problem. You still get that portability, but we're talking to the masses. Like I'm surprised they just ignored Xbox completely on a release like this, considering Marvel had its days with Xbox, even competitively, where that was like the go-to ports for like 3 and for 2 at the time.
Who said they ignored Xbox? I mean, I can't imagine that Capcom actually was like, yeah, like I'm just not really feeling Xbox. Like it's not worth it. Like, you know, even though we do know that there are significantly more PS5 sold than, you know, Xbox Ones, or not Xbox Ones, but Xbox Series X's. But still, like, I can't imagine that they would just exclude that. Like, I figured something has to be going on, right? Maybe they're having trouble with certification. They can't come to like a pricing arrangement with Microsoft, something like that. You know, it's probably something on the business side of things, maybe the technical side, you know, because we are talking about ports here. You know, we're not talking about new games. We're talking about like basically ROM ports and putting that onto a console. So the certification process, and for those who, you know, don't know what that means, is like essentially when you go to put a game on a console, and I think Steam has a version of this, but it's different since, you know, PC hardware is very different. But when you go to put a game on a console, like it has to go through this like rigorous testing, because what they want to make sure is that your piece of software isn't going to break the hardware, isn't going to brick the hardware, and almost more importantly, isn't going to allow an exploit that allows people to illegally use software on their device, because that's a thing that used to happen on consoles in the past. Like, I mean, you want to talk?
Shout outs to Mech Warrior. Shout outs to Agent Under Fire on the original Xbox. Allowed me to run Linux and inject a corrupted save, and now I got Xbox Media Center.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you use a piece of software, exploiting a piece of software, and then you can just sideload a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's funny because, you know, when I think of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think of Dreamcast, and Dreamcast is one of the most exploited consoles.
Bro! It was day one. It was just like, let me just burn this can't even say DVD, because it was still, I know, actually, was it DVD? No, because it did fucking read DVDs. If Dreamcast would have read DVDs, we'd have a Dreamcast 3 by now.
Exactly.
But anyway, no, it was CDs. Let me burn this, and you just played.
Bro, it was so bad. Like, first of all, a lot of us remember the floating deer, right? There's just the floating deer. And then it got so bad that people were just injecting the bootloader into the ROM itself. Yeah. You know, I have never seen anything like that before on a console, or since on a console, you know. So that's why certification is important. Certification is also expensive. It's also very expensive, and I'm pretty sure they do that on purpose, so that developers aren't like incrementally trying to make like little changes and then certify it and then push it live again. Like, I don't know how much certification costs now, but I remember Phil Fish talking about it. He was like, it was like 10 grand per certification. And he was an indie developer with a small indie game. So I can only imagine what's like for larger corporations.
Or they're still in bed with Sony in some way, shape, or form since Street Fighter 5.
That is also a possibility.
That is, let me put the tinfoil hat on.
Nintendo was like, we can do it only if you put it in our Direct.
Not even just Direct. Maybe they might even get it first, because right now we don't have dates. I would assume they want to simultaneously release it, but maybe, you know, like that. Yeah, that's so.
But maybe they said
on the Direct, like,
but hear me out.
Places. Yeah. But I just hold on. You say on the Direct. I thought about it actually. I was like, why on the Direct? I mean, hey, all up to showing stuff off at Evo, right? I think we're gonna get a date announcement at Evo. By the way, I think that's my theory is we'll get an actual date at Evo.
Yeah.
But to put it out to the masses on a Nintendo Direct that does millions and millions, way more views than Evo does, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, I don't think Sony really considers Nintendo like a competitor. Like, Nintendo was the first to drop out of that console war. When they made that Wii, that was them saying, yeah, we're just going to go do our own thing, you know? And because, I mean,
they made money selling a toy.
Yeah, like, they're not,
Yeah.
I don't consider Nintendo an actual competitor to Sony. Like, you know, most people have both, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But again, that, right? Like the masses that have it now, you know, it was a great move. It was so interesting that like Xbox kind of got
shafted.
They kind of shafted on this, man. Motherfuckers like, shit, we would have sold. The Xbox boys are definitely in shambles right now. Like they are in shambles at the moment. When they found out, whoa, where's the Xbox? Like, nah, bro. Like, you want Marvel? You better get on Team Sony. Get on Steam, or, you know, I mean, hey, it's Windows, so Microsoft's already winning there anyway, so who cares? You know, it's still coming back to them in some way. And then, you know, and then Nintendo, so it's what it is.
Odd. Yeah.
But since Street Fighter V, I feel like Capcom and Sony have always had this, like, you know, this behind, not even behind the scenes, because it's clear, like, you know, Sony definitely funded a lot when it came to Street Fighter V, right? It was when they, you know, they were exclusive. And, you know, of course, then they had their tournaments, which they still do now, I believe. Or not for like 6, but they had it for, they had a long run of like officially supported tournaments on the PlayStation, like, you know, UI and stuff. You would see it. Like if you had the game, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, this tournament's coming up, sign up. It's the official PlayStation one, and they were getting tied up. And even now, right, so, Sony InZone monitors are a part of Evo and stuff. They haven't really let go when it comes to this genre in any way, shape, or form. But Capcom is definitely in their pockets.
Before the 360, they sort of owned the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 realm until like Marvel 2 was in everything, you know?
Yeah. And then Marvel 3, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the only other thing. And if I want to keep my tinfoil on for a little bit longer, I think with this crazy announcement, just hear me out. And I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but hey, Marvel 4.
It's a possible. It looks like it's a possibility.
This year announcement.
But
this year.
You think this
announced?
year?
Announced this year. Announced this year.
Game Awards.
You know why?
2024
bingo cards. We got to come up with bingos and predictions.
I think with the big fish, because as much as I say this storm that came in that is Marvel, the bigger storm that is still out, the Galactus that is out there that people are waiting to finally arrive on Earth, is of course 2XKO. But I think now that it's kind of becoming more and more out, that it's like not a secret, but it's like, you know, they're showing more content. They're going to tournaments, or going to events, and they're showing off versions of the build. Not to say the hype's died down, but now it's like they're kind of coming into the light. Marvel 4 has is kind of set up to be an announcement that would also would now kind of get some eyes on them. Because then if they had to compete with 2XKO more, I don't think it would have been as effective. So now that it's kind of been moved out a little bit, I want to say it's more of a possibility. I'm
going to challenge you on that because I feel 2XKO is big for gamers. People who play games, right? People, especially because what we're expecting is we're expecting a lot of people who don't play fighting games to kind of hop into the FGC or hop into that realm with 2XKO. But in my opinion, those are people who are kind of already embedded with games. However, Marvel drop a Marvel vs. Capcom 4. That's going to draw people who do not play games.
But I'm gonna sort of counter both of y'all on that, because it depends on who you put in the game. We saw Marvel Infinite, and it just scared everybody who didn't like the characters, and it scared away people that were like, so I want an expanded roster and also 3 characters versus 3.
So 2 things to counter your counter. We're just fucking each other up today. One major thing that has changed is now X-Men and mutants and that licensing, all this licensing jargon is now, like, except for obviously Spider-Man, is now under an umbrella with Disney.
Or
like they're like, it is back. It like they are, you know, you're seeing it used to be Marvel Comics. Now technically it's even 3 different combinations, like films, comics, and television. But now that Disney kind of has the umbrella over it, and has control on it, and that now even the MCU is finally getting to a point where they can say mutants, right? They've already said it in shows. They're like, oh my God, mutants. Like they weren't even allowed to say it. Marvel Infinite put a lot of people off because like, where the fuck is the X-Men? Where is Wolverine, who has been in practically every actually has been in every versus, right? Like since Children of the Atom, he's been in the, like, how are you missing these key characters? And especially with things like X-Men, you know, the X-Men 97, right? Show banger of a show that happened this year. Like Marvel 4 will be poised to do way better because it's not going to be in the same position as Marvel Infinite was, because Marvel is no longer in the same position it was then. And then 2, I would hope, once again, knock on wood, hoping that they learned some lessons from Marvel Infinite and realize, yeah, what characters, you know, how big these functions matter with people.
And I was gonna say, there was no positive hype around Marvel Infinite, like, at all.
There wasn't.
There was none.
And I think the best thing that Marvel Infinite had going for it was the newer character designs, because Jeddah, Ultron, Venom, even though Venom was a newer character, but also
Black Panther from the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they all looked spectacular, and then they copy and paste. Even the DLC costume for Dante, for like the new Dante, looked really good.
Yeah.
New Dante render looked good, but old Dante looked bad. Like I don't get how they were able to do such a good job with those newer renders over older characters being copy and pasted in. Even Marvel Iron Man was terrible.
Marvel Infinite is getting more positive hype now with, you know, what Max is doing with the modders and setting it up. That's getting more press right now than the original game did. More positive hype, which, by the way, shout outs to Wistful Hopes, who unfortunately is having some issues. Hope everything is good, and any health issues that are going on. Went to a hospital trip recently. Hopefully fast recovery and that you're good. I know the mod, I've been keeping up on the mods, and they announced that there was just a little bit of a halt, but hope positive energies, everything is good for you. But yeah, so yeah, Marvel 4 I think is poised for this year. We should hear something. It'll just blow the roof off, and aligning it with things like I said, how the shows have gone, especially recently with the X-Men 97, MCU, you know, kind of taking, you know, the way the MCU's kind of been routed as to like how they're kind of bringing back on a couple of things to kind of slow things down to combat like superhero fatigue, and then good stuff like Wolverine versus Deadpool 3 with Wolverine and all that in it. Like it just lines up to kind of now just hit the video game realm, and that'll be the next thing that you can, you know, check off to kind of keep that gravy train going, right? It makes sense, might not happen. That's just conspiracy. Let me take the tinfoil hat off at this point. But Marvel is out here. It's live. It's full effect. I am stoked. I cannot believe. I honestly cannot believe that it's happening. It's actually still kind of insane to think about, because that is a very special place for a lot of people, and it is very much a special place for me because I did play it a lot in the arcades as well. So to have the ability to do it again like this, like 24 years later since the game came out, is just
Superman. I always think of the Iron Giant meme flying into the nuclear bomb, and it's like 10 more years.
Yeah.
I always think about it.
All right. So with that, we want to hear from you guys though. So this whole thing has kind of had us thinking. So we have a question of the week, of course, on every episode that we want to bring up. This week for you guys, we want to hear it. I know it's kind of been thrown around a little bit, but we do want to listen or hear from you guys, our listeners, also people over on our Discord and such. What game or series do you want to get a re-release? Because there are so many franchises out there, or so many games that some people have just straight up not been able to experience due to accessibility issues, due to obviously it being retro and maybe not having a port over. There's a lot of voices out there. I'm looking at you, Power Stone people. I think you guys should be next. That need to get a re-release of some kind, but we want to hear from you. What game and or series do you want to see get a re-release here, 2024, or in the modern gaming era? This kind of, I want to say more fighting game related, obviously, but we'll give a pass if you want to throw something else out there as well. It's perfectly fine. We'll talk about it.
Give me all your Bloody Roars, your Primal Rages, your DOAs, all of the above, even if it's new or old.
There you go. Of course. All right. So with that, we're going to be taking a quick break. When we get back, we're going to be talking about Bison. He's due on this week. So we got a character breakdown. We got some notes. We got things we like, things that we're, I don't know if we don't like, but we'll talk about it. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. All right. And we are back. Just finally got the Marvel out of our systems. And now we're getting into some Street Fighter 6. So we've got Bison ready to come out this week. We'll yell about why we're mad as to what day in a second. But we had a character guide that dropped, and basically, you know, once again, the great trend of developers dropping, you know, kind of a little bit of a breakdown of these characters before they come out, so we know what the hell we're getting into, what kind of matchups are about to be bad, what matchups might be good, and whether or not you want to, you know, drop your main for this character. So off the rip, we've got a quick 7-minute video dropped on, it was actually literally the day after our last show, last week. And let's run through it, Static. What are we liking right now from Bison?
Psycho Crusher. Psycho Crusher.
Just Psycho Crusher, the iconic, you know, go across the screen torpedo. Yes. Okay. What do we like about it? Because I thought it looked pretty standard.
It is a fireball.
What's that mean? What does that mean?
Okay. So I've liked talking about fireball levels in this game, like fireball prioritization, and he is able to nullify a level 1 fireball with his Psycho Crusher. Now, I've watched the video. I haven't watched it enough, but I don't think there's enough info. There's a little bit more testing.
Yeah, it's not everything.
That's why I'm saying it's not all the details about the Psycho Crusher. Not that I didn't watch it, obviously, but what I'm saying is there's not enough Psycho Crusher evidence, in my opinion, because I want to see if it goes through, you know, Akuma's level 3 fireball.
Gotcha.
But it's not an OD fireball, but it's still a charged fireball. Doesn't nullify a level 1. Or if I go do an EX overdrive Psycho Crusher, doesn't nullify the level 1 fireball anyway. Those are questions I need to know, as if I'm gonna, you know, destroy an EX jump in fireball from Akuma, which I hope I do.
Or a Sonic Blade, right? From Guile.
Yeah, exactly. All of the above. Like if does Guile get that free off of meeting, you know? Like
I'm gonna tell you right now, I think Guile is so fucking cooked in this matchup.
I think so too.
It's not even fucking funny. I'm like, bro, Guile is going to get fucked up so bad. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Bison is his arch nemesis, but holy shit, did they just say anyone who does play Guile, you are just gonna have a bad time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think knee press, what's it called? Not Nightmare, but actually a scissor kick. I don't think that's actually like a good tool without the Psycho Mind on them.
Yeah. So the biggest thing, let's break that down real quick. Actually, so Psycho Mind is the big new thing that they're adding to, well, kind of newish thing. It's like the new mechanic that they're adding to Bison in it. So basically you get to plant a mine or certain buttons, like the back fist, his back fist move combo, plants a mine on a character, your opponent, and after a certain amount of time, that mine like blows up, or you could do a move that preemptively makes it detonate. This is like the key part. Aside from having great normals, because Bison has incredible leg buttons, like his kicks are insane. He has some good normals, and we'll get into some of the other Psycho moves, but the Psycho Mine is supposed to enable him to like kind of close areas of his offense that would normally have gaps, and also be combo extensions as well. Like it helps give him an additional kind of routing. So this is very similar to, what is it? It's V-Trigger 2 in Street Fighter V, where a certain hit, he would get that command grab that then makes your character purple, and then it's same thing. He gets to do like a follow-up, like where he crushes his fist and it blows it up, or it does over time. Players like Problem X utilized it very, very well for insane mix-up potential, insane combo extension, and insane pressure. Same fundamental idea here, just dialed back a little bit. It's dialed back a little bit, but then also kind of extended because it's not a V-trigger. It's something that he naturally will have throughout the entire match. So this is something that is always something you have to think about while you're facing him and while you're playing him as well. So it's really cool because, like I said, it makes him now kind of a setup-centric character.
Right.
Like where he needs, his game plan really gets enabled once he has the Psycho Mind enabled. Like in other words, like on the character. He'll still have good buttons. He'll still have to play the footsie game. But once he has that charge on the character, he's like allowed to do certain things. He's allowed to take more, he's allowed to take more moves that normally give him more risk, like less. So now things are plus. Things are now comboable, like he has more combo routes in certain instances. And yeah, it just closes the gaps, but he needs to have it. That's the part, that's the drawback. Like there are some moves here that are not safe, like Psycho Crusher, standard versions are punishable.
Right.
But EX is safer, but then also Psycho Crusher enables or detonates the mine when it actually hits. So now it technically it's like doing EX without having to use your drive rush meter, right? So that's where there's the balance there. So he has that now. That's his main mechanic, and I think he's just gonna be like, what is it? It's not Psycho Punisher. What am I thinking? It's another button. It's like where he actually gets to like swing on you.
Psycho Axe?
Axe. Thank you. I was like, I wrote it down. I can't remember where.
Yeah, he
the
has
Psycho Axe.
Yeah,
that shit looks. I'm so scared because I'm like, that looks like such a great footsie tool. If the hurt box on it is weird, that's gonna be, it's forward moving. First of all, forward moving normals or some kind, amazing. But his swing is so exaggerated that I'm like, man, either his hurt box is gonna be terrible or it's gonna be really good.
Yeah,
one or the other. I'm
hoping, because obviously you'll have a way to open people up. Sure, he has lows, he has overheads, cool. But like for a defensive player, or will you ever get Psycho Backfist combo out? Like, I'm trying to see here if it's even unsafe or not. I don't recall myself, but like you'd have to think that it would be, right? Like just pressure with it on.
So what I see overall in his kit, right, between Psycho Crusher, his Mind, Knee Press, Shadow Rise, which is obviously his hop, right, that he does, his standard hop, and then he has Devil's Reverse, which is, you know, when he does the flip and either comes down with the arm, or he actually gets to come down with a stomp as well. He is just going to be a zoner's worst nightmare.
Right.
Like, and zoners tend to want to be defensive. That's why I'm saying Guile is going to get fucking cooked, because holy shit. Like some of these angles, especially like the EX version of the Shadow Rise, like tracks like fucking Akuma's EX Demon Flip does. Things like Psycho Crusher Heavy is like full screen, dude. That's fucking wild.
I know.
That's
and I mean, not
wild.
to mention the drive rush.
Yeah, we haven't even looked at drive rush in this fucking breakdown. They were like, no, we're just gonna show them what his kit is, and then the universal stuff, you guys figure that out. And then like last but not least, of like Psycho Punisher, his super, that like his stomp super.
Yeah.
Very potent, left, right. You can actually control the arc on it. Invincible from the jump to when it lands. Zoners are like literally like you're not gonna be able, or anyone that has a fireball is just gonna have now a pretty big gap of like choosing when they want to throw plasma out, because it could really mean you could really just get blown up for it.
Yeah, and despite me liking Street Fighter 4's Bison a lot, and it just reminds me of that, plus the Street Fighter 5 one, I kind of miss the EX Fireball from the last game from Street Fighter.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know what? You can get it in Marvel 2 though, so enjoy that.
Well, I mean, no. Well, I mean, I use Bison in Marvel 2. That super sucks.
What? But it's
the small orb is very good. Yeah. Even though it takes a little while, but it's good.
Yeah. Yo, but his CA, by the way, is critical art.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Bro, when I saw the fist, yes, that was on some next level. That was some Dark Link type shit energy right there. You go for the punch and he's just standing on it looking at you. I was like, oh fuck, yeah, I'm done.
I think he has his mind back. He doesn't have amnesia anymore.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he looked overall, like I said, we only got a taste of it. They didn't get to break down everything. He just gave us some ideas as to what's plus, what's not punishable. Which actually, on that note, looks like what was it? What's 4 frames? Psycho Crusher. At least it's not like 4 frame punishable, because like they showed Ed like doing a standing jab, and it showed like he could block from it. So it's like, ooh, crazy, kind of crazy. And
this is not a concern. It's just something visually that I don't like. Is his hand while he's in idle animation is like, and his other arm stands still. Like I get it, it's his arm that's sort of like robotic looking, but it's just it throws me off. I don't know. I'm not a graphic artist. I know how MJ was our friend and graphic artist who didn't like Alex's like leg position.
That like, Alex's leg position anatomically does not make sense, because he's like his hips are the other way. I'm like, bro, that's not comfortable for you. Your spine is not, and you're like 800 pounds up top. Like, there's no way you're gonna not have problems in like a couple of years.
Right. But this has got it irks my soul because his hands are hard to do. I'm sure you and your graphic design stuff, it's hard to do. But hey, you know what? More power to them. He looks great besides that darn hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other thing, there are quality of life changes coming with Bison, by the way.
Oh, yes.
So like CA, your health is glowing. Apparently some other changes to like rematches. Like if you go to match settings, the rematches won't show up on the score. So the scores will reset there. Other thing, just quality of life stuff that they're fixing as of late.
The training mode, quick training mode shortcut on the menu. Like as soon as you get in, you can like fighting ground, rank, or you can just go boop, training mode instantly. Because before you had to get in and then you had to find it. Like you had a couple menus in. Hey, maybe taking cues from Guilty, because that's like something Strive did earlier as well, was a quality of life where you can actually make a shortcut to something in the menu so you can just instantly go to whatever you want. I did it for training mode as well. And it was like Capcom took me there and was like, yeah, this will make people feel better. And it will. It's going to save some time. But yeah, Bison is due out this Wednesday, which Capcom, this is the part that infuriates me. Capcom, you already made the homage to Raul Julius anyway in the Street Fighter movie with the horse. They've already acknowledged it. Why would you not make it on a Tuesday to release?
Because for you, it was the worst day of your life.
That Wednesday might be the worst day of my life because I also hate playing against Bison. Bisons are just a pain in my existence. That's like one of those characters I just don't know. Can't get to it. But yeah, he'll be out. He'll be out this Wednesday. He'll be out this Wednesday on the 26th. So we're gonna be seeing him. I think just in time for CEO. Yeah, because he's gonna have to patch for it. I believe they're allowing him.
They're not.
Oh, they're not allowing him. Oh, never mind. Psych. Never mind.
He's there.
Well, it will be in that patch.
They're on that patch, but not allowing Bison. Right.
Oh snap! All right. Well, no CEO. Bison
but at Evo
to talk about. At Evo though. Yeah, buddy. All right. So. Let's see. With that, we're gonna dial it back a little bit and we're gonna talk some community. So we actually, before we even talk community, sorry, we had our question of the week from last episode. The reason I'm bringing this up with Bison is because we talked about Guile, and what's Guile known for? Being a family man. So we asked you guys last week because it was just right after Father's Day to let us know who you think as like the best and or worst fathers in fighting games. We've got a couple of awesome responses here. We've got Paul Peters hit us up over on Spotify. Actually, always hit us up on Spotify. He hits us with Kratos, which I was like, oh, like Mortal Kombat. Then he actually proceeds and says, by the way, also great crossover with him in Soul Calibur. This man literally changed his whole nature and killed gods to protect his son. I completely forgot he was in Soul Calibur because it was the Soul Calibur Broken Destiny on the PSP.
Okay.
I just didn't know. I just want to put it out there. I looked at it. I was like, I really had to sit there and read that again. I was like, Soul Calibur. I'm like, my man's confusing it with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I was confused because I was like, I thought I played all the Soul Caliburs. Apparently not.
No. Broken Destiny, right, baby. Yeah. That PSP. I think it was even UMD days before they got rid of, before they ended up making it more digital versions of it and just let you run through your micro SD card at the time. Creation, shout out to Creation, by the way, who also hit us up, on the question of the week before that. He just states Hahachi Mishima 100,000%. I'm gonna assume he's saying bad. He didn't say which one. I'm like, he could say he's the best, and I'm like, oh shit. We got a defender here. This will be interesting. But dad. I'm gonna assume you're saying,
think about it.
Worse dad.
Birth to demon child and tries to. I don't know. Is that good or bad? Is that saving humanity?
He's trying to protect the world. So I'm like, and technically the demon gene doesn't come from him. It comes from, but like homegirl. So,
but what about Goku? Goku bumped his head before and then became a Good Saiyan, right? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What if? Yeah. So let me see. And then of course, Taka Baruna says best dad is Ken. Just from the sheer fact that he's amongst the least worst. Okay. I had to read that a couple times too. I was like, least worst. Like, okay, so the bar is pretty low. Even Guile, the family man, left his family for a while for revenge against M. Bison. Ken, dude's dependable as fuck, also rich. Couple holes there. One, I don't think he's still rich post Street Fighter 6. I don't know if his arcade ending or any ending you have said otherwise, but brother kind of lost all his shit. But you could say it's still under the family name, sure. But fun fact though, Ken and Guile are brothers-in-law. If you didn't know, Eliza is Guile's sister, and Ken obviously married Eliza, so actually they're brothers-in-law. So there's the good family man, and I guess the shitty one. I don't know if you knew that one too, Job, but it seems like he just learned something today.
Okay. I thought it was
really
that
complicated.
Yeah, I thought it was Guile's sister or Guile's wife or something like that. I thought it was something related to the wives.
One or the other. It might. It's one of the girls. One of the girls. They're like 4 blonde people. I don't know. One of them's related to the other. That's all it is. But yeah. So appreciate you guys for partaking in the question of the week. Once again, you guys can get involved. Twitter, YouTube. Of course, on our Discord, doubletap.gg/Discord. We do post it up. We'll plug this in on the end of the episode as well. But get involved. Come let us know. We already asked you guys about this week when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom. Let us know what you guys think about it. So let's get on to, like I said, the community highlights. We have some really cool stuff, man. I got some things to put out there because, you know, we love ourselves some highlighting of the community members to do some awesome things here, whether you're doing artwork, whether you're doing music, whether you're a content creator, mods. You know, we love ourselves some mods out here. There's plenty that do some really awesome stuff, and we want to make people more aware of it. This week, there is one particular one that came up. So there's, you know, a bunch of classic stuff, right? This is the other reason why I brought it up. We're talking classic stuff, classic games that come with a lot of classic moments, and this is no different. So there's this awesome group called SLB Video Archive, Super Lore Boys Video Archive, that they catalog and archive footage from like triple OG, like VHS tapes and such, and just different mediums. And they upscale some of it to 4K, 60 frames. They kind of clean it up a bit, right? And they do this for a slew of things, man. If you look at their YouTube, once again, this is at, what is it? SLB Video Archive. They've got like original Super Mario World video guides, like Capcom fan club videos. I don't know, this is a bit dating ourselves, but you used to see these like in like Game Informers or other magazines to actually like mail in to get these kinds of like videos and shit, right? One thing that's so super awesome is that they've got like a bunch of, like, once again, it's Capcom stuff, but that also includes a bunch of really awesome Street Fighter, tournament, combo videos. Guilty Gear even is in there, right? There's some Guilty Gear like AC videos, tutorials, like really awesome stuff. The reason I bring it up is that there is coming up this month, they're actually releasing on the 30th, the 1998 Street Fighter Alpha 3 World Championships. For those that don't know, it is a pretty pivotal tournament. It is US versus Japan, because it was when we got to see Alex Valle go up against, who was the winner, I believe, on the, obviously in the USA side, versus Daigo, baby ass Daigo. I mean, they're both babies in this one, but this is the first time I think we've seen them actually clash. And it was like, it was Akuma versus, Daigo's Akuma versus Alex's Ryu in Alpha 3, super high level. It was insane. It's in entirety. They're gonna be releasing it, shot by Bob Painter, and it's apparently it's also like got extra footage and all in it. So this is old school, like super OG, triple OG 90s feeling. Just handy cam all over the place, or, you know, real capture. You're getting a screen with maybe someone who has a tripod. This is getting released. This is happening on the 30th. We wanted to highlight it. I want people to check this out. It's an awesome tournament. I can't wait to see the additional footage, because I've seen it before. I've watched it plenty of times. Or rather what's out there, but it is really awesome that SLB Video Archive, the Super Lore Boys, are like doing this service, because we're talking about preservation, right? We're just talking about Marvel, and like the problem with Marvel too, like just being a pain to just have. That's why people are, you know, petitioning like, hey, go get the physical copy, not just the digital version. This is another way to help preserve like some really awesome moments, right? I would love to see it for things like season beatings or other, you know, other tournaments and stuff that are like super OG, right? Like maybe the original Evo DVDs, right? It'd be great to see some stuff like that out there.
I agree with that, because, you know, they're hard to find on YouTube.
It's tough.
Yeah, like I'm looking for top 8s of like Tatsunoko versus Capcom, and I can only find like grand finals. Yeah.
So once again, this is SLB Video Archive, Super Lore Boys. They're doing some really awesome stuff, releasing on June 30th for that tournament.
There's one thing I do want to mention about that, right? Please keep in mind, like, none of this is free for them. Okay, like
absolutely not.
This is not like, oh, let me just do this thing. It's not. No, this is this. I don't know how they're funding this endeavor, right? Because I didn't see them like asking for I don't even think they had. I didn't see like a Patreon or like a donation link or some type of.
Listen, man. Some people just got love. Like, they're doing it out of passion, and that's crazy. But should we reward them? Absolutely. Yeah. I think if they open up a link, I'd be like, done. You got a shirt, you got merch, something. Let me support you, right? Take my money, because I think they deserve it, but they might not be asking for it.
Exactly. Like if there's some way, if you enjoy like what they're doing, and there's some type of support that you can give them, and that they have some type of channel for support, and you enjoy like this preservation, I would support, because like it's not free, it's not easy, like trust me. So like hats off to them for doing this.
For sure. So and also shout outs to Turbo Annihilator, or Turbo Annihilate on Twitter. They're I think either the owners or they're part of it, and they're the ones that posted up. I got to see them. I actually hitting them a follow right now from the Double Tap page. Shout outs to them. We'll tweet them out. Because I would love to see more of this, because it was awesome for me just to check out things like those OG like Guilty Gear videos and all. It's like super dope, and I can't wait to see some of those Capcom videos, because I knew of them, but at that time it was really difficult to get a hand on. So I actually get to watch that. I'll give you the $5. I'll give you a coffee, right? Like I'll buy you a coffee or whatever you need, man. Just put something up. But all love to them. Make sure to go check them out once again. SLB Archive on YouTube. And Turbo Annihilate on Twitter. Go say what's up to those guys. Awesome work. Not to be overdone or anything, not to be outshine, but there's another community member I do want to highlight. Like I said, everyone does their thing in a different shape, form, or medium. This is no different. Abstract Entertainment, or ENT Abstract on Twitter, posted up about it was like a couple days ago, right? It was like literally day before yesterday. They posted up again. They're an indie developer. They're developing a 2D based fighting game called The Blood of Champions. It looks dope. It really comes from a kind of like the CVS 1 to like, Marvel 2 era kind of feel of it, with some Third Strike mixed in terms of like how detailed these sprites are, and the artwork looks amazing. It's a very early build, but they posted up. They're looking for some Unity programmers or coders to help with it. I think they're looking also for some illustrators as well, but mainly gameplay coders. So hey, if you're a listener, maybe you have a passion for it, want to get into it, or maybe you're a developer that wants to help out, has some experience, go hit them up. ENT Abstract once again on Twitter. They will be posting a Kickstarter once they get to a stable demo and such. This is still very early. But hey, anything to kind of support people that are putting mad love and passion into, the fighting game scene is a plus for me. So told them I shout them out. All love, homie. We do appreciate it. The game looks awesome. Some of the illustration looks dope as shit. I can't wait to see what these guys end up cooking at the end of the day. Whether it's preserving content or creating your own fighting game, we like to, we like to highlight you guys in the community that do some awesome stuff. And that does not end here. We do want to get involved in the show, so we've got a couple of details to bring up to you guys, like a small announcement for this. So, Ja, take the reins. It's your turn. You're player one.
Yeah, so I'm bringing over a concept to this show that we did on another show called Watchpoint Radio. I'm not sure how many people that listen to this show listen to that one, but it was an Overwatch show. We did that show from like 2016 to 2019. And one of the things that we started doing with the show is we do this thing called Communtiy Episodes. And essentially what that was is that a community member, because in our Discord, right, some people they bring up topics that they like us to talk about, and things like that. Well,
one of my favorite things about our Discord.
Yes. So like what we would end up doing, because we kind of had that same thing happen in, well, I'm sorry, my dog is deciding she wants to play with her squeaky toy right now. If I disturb her, it might get worse. So sorry.
Keep entertained. Keep entertained.
Yeah. You're just destroying a clown in the background. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the way the community episodes work is that a community member, like you'd reach out to us either in the Discord or just shoot us an email or any of the other ways that you can, reach out to us. And, it's essentially you bring your own topic, right? So you have a topic that you want to talk about. We will bring you on the show to discuss that topic with you, right? And that gave us, quite a few interesting conversations we had on Watch Parade. So for example, we had a conversation with a guy who was hard stuck bronze, right? And he talked to us about what it's like to play in bronze and why the advice he was getting from higher level players wasn't working. And it wasn't just his fault, right? Because you do have to play against your own team at lower ranks in that game. But there was that one. We also had a really interesting conversation about a player that was from England, but he lived in Korea, right? And the huge difference there was in playing Overwatch back home versus playing it in Korea, right? So yeah, that's kind of how the community episodes work. If you have a thought or a discussion that you want to talk about on the show, you just you hit us up, and then we'll schedule something, put it together, so that we can bring you onto the show and discuss it. You don't have to have like fantastic equipment. I mean, the better equipment you have, the better, right? But if you just have like a regular headset, or maybe we'll even see if we can get something working on the phone, if that's what needs to happen. Like we'll see what we can do to accommodate you. So don't be afraid just because you don't have a content creator set up. I wouldn't really worry about that. But yeah,
bro, have you seen my camera lately? We're not even worried. The bar's pretty low. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just something that was interesting that we did in Watchpoint Radio, and I thought it would be really interesting to bring it over for Double Tap, because just the topics we got, I wouldn't have expected. The more people we can get involved, like from a community perspective, the more dynamic the conversations are going to be, and maybe you'll open somebody else's eyes to something interesting in the FGC. So yeah, all you got to do, just reach out to us. Say, hey, I have this idea for a topic, or I'd like to come on and talk about this, and we'll start the process from there.
We'll hash it out. Hey man, we like to put the C in community, baby. That is that last part. We're not just playing fighting games. There is a whole lot of us out there, so we're down. Yeah, email, Discord, DM, let us know. Love to talk to you. We'll hash that out. So with that, we've got one last thing to, one last thing to talk about. We have another quick shout out. We got one more thing to talk about, but what's happening? Static, what's going on real quick?
Thank you for reminding me, because not only are we talking about the community, but we're talking about Community Effort Orlando, which is taking place in Daytona. The last year in Daytona, which is
yes,
dead town when we went last year, but it's a different year last year. This year it looks like it's going to be pretty hype. I'm not going myself, unfortunately, but it looks like it's going to be something to watch, so definitely tune in. If you're in the Philly area as well, there's too many games. You might be able to even go to that this weekend as well. But if you just want to stay home and be a hermit like me, you can also watch. I'm going to try to stream whenever I'm home and try to watch it, so you can definitely join me. But yeah, what do you got?
CEO viewing party at Static Gorilla on Twitch. That's what I got.
Oh, snap.
No. Okay. What I also got is another event. So Evo. Oh. Yes, Evo, which is also, I think today was the last day for like Reg. I think
today
it's like when they left.
So unfortunately, if you're listening to this, it's too late.
Sorry, too late. So the reason I bring up Evo is because this is really cool. So actually, this is tied with GranBlue. Yes. So the official GranBlue Fantasy Versus Twitter page actually tweeted out their like official artwork for Evo, which like fucking looks bomb. They posted it up. Hopefully, it's gonna be a poster that you guys can actually get it over at the Side Games booth there. But this was the part that was really cool. Top 3 finishers at Evo or GranBlue will receive exclusive badges for their in-game profile cards. We're sharing more info leading up to Evo. Stay tuned for more. So you get there's 3 right there with the good old Evo logo on it. You got the bronze, you got the silver, you got the gold. And I saw that, I was like, God damn it! Love this idea. I do. We have seen it before, but I want to see more of it's what it is. So it's just a reminder of like, bro, this is something so simple. Okay, I say simple, but you know, I know it does still take effort, it takes company time, resources, all that. But like, I still think it is such, even something as small as a specific signature is great, because they've done it before with what? Costumes, right? Street Fighter did it with costumes when it came to Capcom Cup. Remember that?
Titles.
And titles.
Street Fighter titles and or not icons, but titles more or less, like Capcom finalist or Capcom Cup final guy.
Yeah.
And of course, those were only to Street Fighter 4. I think 4 had them, but I know 5 definitely did. I don't see it much around in any others.
4,
and I don't think there's
4 had costumes as well. Yeah, 4 had costumes as well. Yes, it was an Akuma costume. Yeah, I believe Akuma had a costume. It was the one with the hair that was tied up in a ponytail and pulled back. Yes, I think that was. You know what? We're gonna revert. I'm gonna call it out on the next show whether or not you're right or I'm wrong.
Okay. So well, I definitely know that when Kazunoko won Capcom Cup, we got the Nakali outfit. I know that for sure.
Yeah, but we'll follow this up. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so these exclusive in-game badges, let's see, the gold, silver, and the bronze for the top 3, awesome. Love the idea. I want more. I want to petition more developers to do this, even if it's every year, even if it's just an Evo thing right now that just test the waters. Go for it. I love getting a way to kind of connect the community with the official game itself. Some more acknowledgement in there, because the competitive scene is a big component to the longevity of games at times too, because there are games that are still played 20 plus years later because people are passionate about it and are still competing in it. And to be able to have something like this within game, right, that's obtainable, right, it's one-off. It's like the other games are doing it, like are like Valorant. Valorant has specific skins for your guns, including custom animations that you get to see because you were a champion of like the VCT or whatever, right? One year or the other, or for particular events.
Super knives.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you get specific. Those are awesome. I would love to see that more often in more games. But yeah, Street Fighter definitely has done it. We have seen it before, but it was just a reminder for me of like, man, like just trying to bridge that gap in other ways, because it also makes things like accounts more infamous too, and your name a little bit more infamous than that. Because when someone sees it, imagine like going online and you see that Evo badge, you're like, that already tells a lot. You're like, oh shit, top 3 Evo last year. This Lancelot is either gonna fuck me up, or I'm gonna try really hard to beat this Percival or whatever.
Or like you remember in Guilty Gear Strive when early on, well, I mean they're doing it now, but if you get a certain point, I think of wins or something, you get an aura.
Yeah, you get an aura if you're like if you're top 100 or something like that, or top 200, top 300. Imagine, Gabe, if they brought back one of the EX colors, like the all gold one, as a you got first at Evo, second at Evo, third at Evo. How dope would that be?
Or I don't want to put in like a cheat, like, or you have infinite meter.
No, we're not gonna do it like a cheat.
Remember
that was the EX color.
The black one had all meter, and the gold one had different properties. But then there were EX characters in Reload that would have certain new moves. It was
not to that extent. Purely aesthetic. I'm talking purely aesthetic. But it's cool because it kind of puts, I won't say it puts value on your account, but it does put value on your account in a different way. It's really dope. I just wanted to put it out there and be like, this is an awesome move. I love that they're doing this, and I would love to see more developers implement this in the future as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good reward for players that top 3, obviously, besides actually winning top 3.
Yeah, can you put one for last place? That'd be great too.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a good idea, and I'm not saying that they should have done this, but I think if this works out, or if they can keep this system in place, like it doesn't cause them too much trouble, I almost feel like it will be good to expand it to not just top 3, but top 8, top 16, top 32.
I'd say everybody.
Just Evo compete.
We ain't doing no participation trophies here.
That you went to Evo and competed in this game.
Listen, hold on. I'm not saying that everybody gets competitor at Evo. No. If you went 0-2, you still get competitor at Evo. Good for you. You still kind of, like me, you suck.
Shit should still say 0-2 as well.
But top 16 competitor, top 32 competitor, second place, first place, third place. But I'm not saying, but that doesn't give, but you know what? You're right, John. That is kind of like a participation trophy.
Well,
screw it, top 8 only. No, kidding.
So my reasoning is not just to kind of give you a pat on the back, right? Yeah. I think it will encourage other people to compete, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you play this game, but you didn't play it, like you don't play it at a tournament, or you didn't play it at Evo or something like that. You didn't go to Evo, and then you roll up on the top 16 and you beat them. It's like, you want to just be a top 16 Evo player? Maybe I should go a little harder.
And then they go, I'm not putting this title on at all.
Yeah.
I'm nice. Yeah. Holy shit. Give me that badge. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think that it'll be encouraging to kind of players to and maybe it'll even soften the blow a little bit. You know, I just got mopped. And it's like, he's the top 16. I don't feel that bad now.
Yeah, I don't feel that bad. Imagine and then when you made it, because you go into a lobby and like everybody has a top something on it. You're like, oh shit. And you're like the one that doesn't. And you're like,
and they all want to fight you.
Yeah, am I getting indoctrinated? What's going on here? What the fuck is happening here right now?
Yeah, that's my reasoning. I think it'll be encouraging, you know.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Definitely encouraging. It doesn't have to be the extremes of a costume, right? Because the costume also that's development time. That's a whole lot that goes into it. And for some companies, they might not see the value return on that, even though it's a great thing to do. And like I said, I praise companies that have done it, like Capcom and such. Awesome. Because some might be good, some might be not so good. Listen, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. The Mena Birdie, I still would not feel in that joint. I think that haircut, sorry, bro, I don't care. That did not fit. I know. You won. Still props to you, homie. You're still great. That was not it. The dog says the same, so we're good. But yeah, so really, really awesome. Like I said, we'll hopefully hear some more details. Maybe they expand on this on the following year. But for this year, right now, it is only top 3 for GranBlue. You get those awesome signature actual avatar IDs. So shout outs to Side Games for getting that to happen. And with that, guys, that is going to be it for this week, man. It was a lot of Marvel talk. It was some Bison. And of course, we got to highlight some of you awesome people in the community, and we're looking forward to doing it more in the future. But that is going to be it this week, guys. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with another episode of Double Tap. You guys can, of course, check out my awesome host here at Static Gorilla on Twitch. Clearly going to be doing a CEO viewing party, right, this weekend?
Friday, I'm a bit busy, but I'll be probably watching between those hours of being a bit busy. So definitely catching up on Fridays and Saturdays. And I haven't even planned out my weekend yet, so we might be just watching it all. Also, to Tong, and your point, you said you had something to tell me throughout the show. Because obviously, I literally, I'm going to just preface this a little bit. I do a certain mix-ups in Marvel 3, and sometimes players block, but I play a lot of good players. Now, I saw a player get hit with the most common mix-up, which is like jump air S, and it's like, obviously he's on the other side, you're gonna block the other way. But no, this character got hit. So I responded in chat like, oh my gosh, why are these players getting hit by simpler like mix-ups? Everybody blocks my mix. It's what I wanted to say. But then I said, why when I do my mix-ups is everybody always blocking? And Tong responds with, you suck, dog.
Because you suck, bro. Like, you suck. And I've told you this, you need to step up the game. And no, because before the show, you're like, yo, and you tell me I don't block. I'm like, bro, I will pick up the sticks again for Marvel, and I will play you in a 1st to 10 and just show you how bad it is right now. Oh, man. And I haven't touched the game in years.
Ja has his eyes like, this should be content.
Do it on stream, yo, and then we'll put it on
YouTube. Do it on stream.
Stream it.
This is a challenge then. You know what? We'll get a date and we'll 1st to 10.
Oh boy. Remember we were 1st to 50?
Yeah, I remember that too. I think the footage is somewhere out there, and I'm pretty sure I won that shit. Yeah. So we'll do a 1st to 10 again. We'll do a 1st to 10. So I'm putting it out there. I didn't want to put you out too bad, but yeah, you brought it up. 1st to 10, me and Static in Marvel 3. It's time for me to de-rust and do some wild stuff. Oh, my Doom combos are gonna fuck you up. All right, anyway, yeah, so that's it for the show. Once again, you can check out Static at Static Gorilla. You can check out Ja, of course, on Twitter at Jostradamus, as well as on Blue Sky. I got it down packed, don't worry. Even though he says his tweets might be lame, there's still some gold in there. Go check him out. You can check me out at CrashTagVS, as well as, of course, our show at Double Tap FGC, Twitter, YouTube. We're there. Come say what's up. Come follow. It helps a whole lot out. Subscribe. Also very awesome. We get to put up some shorts, get to put up some really awesome polls and such, as well as the ones that we talked about this week. It'll be all up there. So make sure to follow us over there. And of course, make sure to join us on our Discord. You want to get involved as well in the question of the week, or, you know, start talking about potential things that you might want to bring on this show. Join us on our Discord, doubletap.gg/Discord. Follow us there. Come check us out. Come check out our awesome community that we have there. We appreciate everyone that has been hanging out and, you know, talking shop. And of course, when announcements come up, we all get hyped together too. That's also fun. Maybe we'll also live stream the first to 10 there. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But we do appreciate everyone that has followed. And you guys, of course, can support the show free of charge, liking, retweeting when we put out a new episode. We post it up on Reddit, on Twitter. Of course, new episodes on YouTube as well. The video version is also on YouTube, so you guys can check us out there. And you can check out our show directory at doubletap.gg. Check out the previous episodes, things we've called out before. Check out some classics. We've done this show quite a bit of times, so there's plenty of things you guys can get caught up on. But we do appreciate everyone that has liked, retweeted, and shared the show. We do appreciate it. You guys can also rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Let us know what you like about the show. Let us know what you don't like about the show, so we can go into the training room, work on that matchup, and come back stronger than ever. Stay tuned after the show here to hear about the other shows we have on the MTV network. We'll have a new episode next week with some Bison first impressions, as well as anything else that comes up, maybe from CEO. Who knows? Find out. But new episode next week. Until then, catch you guys later. Peace.
See you.